Hello, TEC family. Welcome to season 6. Oh my God, I can't believe it's season 6 of the Education Concierge podcast. I know, I'm excited. So I told y'all to be ready because season 6, we're going to take it higher, better, brighter, more innovative educators coming on, better educational technology to help you infuse in your daily life, but also in your classroom, whether your classroom is in a traditional setting or whether it's an uncommon unschooling, homeschooling, micro school setting. How can we use all of these aspects to improve true education for our scholars? So I want to welcome to the TEC family, Brett Kopf. That's what he told me. That's what he told me. Look, so let me tell you, I will let him tell you the 2 companies he's a part of, and it's going to blow your mind. And you're going to be like, girl, you said season 6 was going to be better. And it is. Brett, welcome to the family. But before you get started, I am a good old country girl from Lawrenceville, Virginia. So, in the South, when you come over to the house more than 3 times, you have to make your own plate. You can go into the kitchen, get your own iced tea. So, today is your first day. Welcome. This is your first visit. So, we're going to help you out. Okay. We're going to tell you wash your hands in the bathroom before you come into the kitchen. Don't wash your hands in the kitchen sink. Okay. Yep.
I didn't know that.
In the South, don't do it. Don't come into the kitchen till you wash your hands in the bathroom, in the hallway bathroom, and don't use the towels that are hanging up. Use the paper towels.
Great. What have I been doing my whole life?
Welcome to the South. We are going to get started. Please introduce yourself and tell us who you are and why you are a disruptor or innovator or both in education.
Sure. Nice to meet you, Benita. Thanks for having me. I have to tell you before I answer those questions, the thing you gave me some, I don't know if it's PTSD, but from when I was a camp counselor a long time ago, the way that happened was all of my young campers would be like, "Oh, your name's Brett." I'm like, "Yes." And then everyone would walk around going like that. Oh, it's okay. I'm fine. I just thought it was funny. It just jogged my memory. So, hi, everyone. My name is Brett Kopf. I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called Omela. I'll explain it in a second. And I previously started a company called Remind, which hopefully a lot of you have used before. Remind is a messaging app used by over 30 million teachers, students, and parents across the United States. And in the last 2 years, I've been weaseling away on this company called Omela, which essentially makes it easy for schools, alternative schools, homeschools, pods. We even support public schools to collect payments, forms, and signatures in a really efficient way and save you money on credit card fees. I live in Colorado. I'm married. I have a little son, and I have another on the way in 1 month. And that is me. It's nice to meet you all.
I love it. So tell us, Omelo, why? Like, how is that helping me as a teacher? Now, I already know y'all because I do investigation. But explain to the TC family, how will this literally change the reason that I have to lock up my desk during field trip time? And explain how teachers get anxiety, parents have a little leeriness sending cash to school anymore. And we kind of like in a cashless society. We were very much in there during the epidemic, like in the midst of it. A lot of places went cashless, a lot of places still are. So tell us how it's not even a program, your business, your company impacts and alleviates that pressure for us at school.
Yeah. First, I'll explain the why. So I bought this house that I live in. I live in Colorado. It was my first house I ever bought. And when we bought the house, we used this thing called DocuSign. It was like all digital, and like we wired the money over digital. There was no physical, like this is an envelope. There was no piece of paper. That was a love letter to my wife. Sorry. There was no piece of paper that I exchanged. And when I was building Remind, I noticed that all of these teachers would basically ask for things like $50 for a field trip, class 2, hot lunch, permission slip. And Johnny would walk in with their backpack, hand the teacher $50, $5, and the teacher would have $5,000 of cash or checks. And then Johnny would forget the permission slip. And I just thought, well, if in my consumer life, I could just do all these things with the click of a button and saves me time, why does that not exist for education? And so just zooming out, in education, usually technology is very late to adopt or follow what typical B2B is in the internet. If like you work at Microsoft, you have all these advanced technologies, or the consumer internet, like when you use Facebook or Instagram, there's these like beautiful, simple, lovely products. And I think that's wrong. Like, I think that educators are doing amazing things in the classroom. And so very specifically, we have a philosophical belief that our job at Omella is to do two things. It's very clear and it's somewhat transactional, which is to save educators time and save them money. We are not a product to help improve academic grades. We are not a student information system. We don't help sync data. We don't help you teach better. We think you know how to teach. We think you know how to engage with your kids. And our job is to be this little thing in the background that helps you save time and money. Now, applicably, how we do that, if you collect tuition, Omella does automatic recurring tuition payments, so you don't have to hunt them and chase them down. We do reminders. You could do a $5 ticket sale. You could collect Apple Pay, Google Pay. You could do all of your registrations. We replace Google Forms. We'll replace Venmo, check, cash. So it simplifies everything in one and makes it super easy and delightful to do so that you can focus on what you're gifted at, which is usually leading and teaching, not this back office secretarial work. That's where we come in.
Yes. Everyone out there, this is what we heard: save time and money. And this is what we complain about on a consistent basis. I even know being eighth grade lead, being eighth grade department chair at several different schools, and just being or I'm sponsoring the field trip. And a lot of times the office was like, we don't have time to be collecting money. We don't have time for 1,600 kids to come up here, which is true. You don't want 1,600 kids coming in and out of the office all day. So it always ended up being the teacher on the floor or the teacher on the hall. And now, and then the parent, like you said, parents would send the money in and no permission slip. Or a parent would send me a message and go, did you get a permission slip? And I'm like, I haven't seen anything, but they do tomorrow. They do now. Yeah. And the mom's like, I gave it to him Monday. And it's like Friday. So now I have Jeffrey out there looking through his book bag. And even in middle school, y'all, even in middle school, I've had my students walk up to me, can I cash out you the money and then you get the cash? No, I don't want you to have my cash.
Yeah, and there's actually, and Benita, to that point, there's a safety transparency component to it where if Benita as the teacher accepts money from student on Cash App or Venmo, of course, you're obviously a highly ethical human being. You're not doing anything wrong, but it's just weird because then that goes to you, even though it's for the school, and then there's tax implications on it. And so Omella also makes everything so like super safe and transparent, and all the data is encrypted and it's very trackable.
And I love that. And then the receipt part, that's the part that always get me. Like I'm like, bring me the money doing advisory, and then doing lunch, I'm trying to eat my sandwich with one hand and write out the receipts and keep the receipt book because it's the school's money. And, we don't touch the kids and we don't touch the money. Like those are the rules. Yeah. And so I love this. So now this is my next question. We always lead up to it. Yeah. How did you really get into this? Because what's your background to make you see this and then zoom out? I know you spoke about Remind, but they are not the same. They are, but they are not. Mm-hmm. So what is your background that led you into this innovation to help educators worldwide? Because it's not just an America thing. You can use this internationally. And I'm speaking to my international educators because there's a lot of y'all that listen. Hey, y'all, because I love y'all. I was a teacher abroad at one time.
Where?
I was in Ajman in Dubai.
Wow.
Yes, I loved it. Anybody still need it? But I'm gonna stay in America for a minute. But how did you because sometimes I'll speak to people who are in educational technology field and they were parents and they're like, I just saw this. But what led you? What's your path of trajectory? Like I tell my students to get to this point with Omella.
It's a very good Freudian question. I will give you a Freudian answer. So in fifth grade, so I grew up in Chicago, in the north side of Chicago. I had wonderful parents who loved me to the end of the world. And I went to a good school and I was diagnosed with ADD and dyslexia. I was like an idiot, but like not smart. I don't know if there's kids listening to this. I don't want to use bad words, but I felt not smart for a long time. And if you kind of look at the underroot of what not smart means, it means like low confidence because I like kept going in this system and I just had all this creativity and you could see I have a lot of energy. I wanted to jump around the room and try all these different things. And when I got older and I would stick my credit card in a gas station machine, every time it would be flipped because when you're dyslexic, things are flipped. Or when I would read in like, I don't know, I must have been like ninth grade, the teacher would have to put a piece of paper on top and below and every line go like this because I literally wasn't capable. My eyes would just be fluttering. And so the emotional undercurrent to starting these companies didn't come from a good place. And I mean that like openly, transparently, vulnerably, and very happily now I can say that. There was this drive where I wanted so badly for no other kids to feel not smart. And so I thought, well, I'm going to try to solve this for if there's other Bretts in the world. And of course, there are in their own unique way, and they might have different problems. And what I noticed is I had this teacher, her name is Whitefield. She's been teaching nearly, I think, for 20 years at Niles West High School in Chicago. Google her. She's wonderful. And she just changed my life, along with my parents, specifically my mom, was super involved in my education. And so the emphasis of Remind, which today, has 30 million people using it. It's a crazy number. It all started with a few, came from that why, that deeper place of wanting to solve it. And that I saw that Miss Whitefield wanted to be able to easily talk to my mom, and she couldn't. And so then between 2009 or 10 and now, it's been like 12, 13 years, a huge amount of things happen. All these I talked to hundreds of customers and teachers. We learned, we failed, we succeeded. And that why was sort of the evolution which helped propel me and therefore these companies. And there's a lot of other great things that happen along the way. Like we have a wonderful team that we work with, and we made a lot of mistakes and we learned, but that is the Freudian why. Now just zooming out, and then I'll stop talking for a second. It now comes from a good place. Like I'm not very happy with who I am and who I'm not. I'm very, happy that I have certain gifts, and I'm also not good at certain things. And I think everyone on the planet has gifts and other ones don't. And now I'm able to apply those to the company that I'm running day-to-day operations with, Omela. And therefore it's working really well, and we're growing very quickly. So that is the Freudian why.
Okay, so now here's the question I always ask, because anytime I run across a company that I interview, the founders, I go, what does the name mean? Where did it come from? So Remind, we're going to put Remind over here on the back burner. Thanks.
Yep.
This one, because I'm like, is it Amela? And I'm so southern. I'm like, Amala, like Pamela, like what it was. And where does it come from? What's the origin? Or you can be like, you know what? I just Googled it and it looked cute, and there it is.
I wish I could say it looked cute. So there's no fancy Greek mythology relation. It came from 3 weeks searching for 12 hours a day on GoDaddy for a URL that fit a few categories. One, it was reasonably easy to say and type.
True.
So like when you think about having a business or an organization or a nonprofit, a URL, if a human being cannot type it into a URL, like no one knows this publicly, I don't think, but like the first version of Remind when I was in college 13 years ago was Syllogizer, which stood for syllabus organizer. And you could not even like figure out how to spell that. And so it needed to be easy to spell and pronounce. It sounded reasonably nice, Omela. And to relate this to like the emotional feeling I want Omela to give, it should feel like your best friend who's been doing payments for 20 years that would never screw you over and is very trustworthy. That's what I want it to feel like. And I think our brand transcends that. At least I hope it does.
When you said this, so shout out to my best friend Jamala, because when I heard and you just described her perfect, like she is trustworthy and I mean friends since we were like our moms used to say 3 months old.
I gotta meet her. That's great.
And so when you said it, I was like, okay. But it also made me think I'm in the middle of rebranding. So after this season 6 will be rebranded, because people don't know what a concierge is and they don't know how to spell it either.
Yeah. And you got to listen to your customers. And that didn't come from a place of like, I had this grand vision for feeling that way. It talked to customers and I learned what they did and didn't want. The last component of the name was, it was $1,000, which is reasonable on the internet to get OMELLA 6. Wait, is that 6? Yeah, that's 6.
Yes.
$1,000. And so it was somewhat reasonable. We bought it. We're super happy with it. That is how we got the name.
Yes, I love it. Okay. So we go to Omela. So you and I have had a conversation before already. I'm opening a private school, a micro school here in South Florida. And I find your company. I was actually, shout out to Kind Academy, shout out to Iman. Mm-hmm. She did her micro school fellowship and she let us say, hey, here's my affiliate link. I'm telling y'all, this is the best thing that's happened to me as a businesswoman, as an entrepreneur, as an edupreneur. So really quick, tell me your elevator pitch to say, hey, this is why you need to use this. And you tell me who you're pitching to, whether you're pitching to a parent, are you pitching to a school leader, who are you pitching to? And then give us your elevator pitch so we can all join and sign up by the end of the month. I'm gonna get them to the end of the month.
Sure. So the way that I explain Omela to my 72-year-old mom, who I love and is not technical, is to imagine if Venmo, Google Forms, GoFundMe, and DocuSign had a baby. And that baby was all in one, super simple. and custom built for this weird niche of all these people who are listening to this, at least what I assume of micro schools, alternative schools, home schools, community centers, which account for roughly, zooming out, 3% of all kids being educated in the United States. Now, I believe that that number is going to grow to 10 to 15% in the next 20 years. That's the bet we're making. I
Yes.
believe that. And there's a bunch of reasons I believe that. So more applicably, we save you time and money, and we have hundreds of these schools around the country. We also support public schools as well. So if you are having a problem saving time and money, operationalizing, running your school, just come talk to us. I talk to every customer one by one. You know that. And I do that for two reasons. You could probably tell. One, I believe it's really important to have empathy and seek to understand each customer's problem. And the second thing is the following. You said you're just starting your micro school, and you've been teaching public education for a long time, right?
25, yeah.
Well, how long?
25 years.
You're an OG. You've been doing it for a really long time. And you're starting a business from scratch, and that's kind of scary. And so when I said before, Mello wants to feel like your best friend who would never screw you over, that understands payments really well, that means that we transactionally do all these things. We'll do automatic reminders, and like we'll pull the money and they can connect their bank and do all that. But knowing that there's a human being that you trust and has aligned incentives with you, and I think that's very important. We've structured our business model to have aligned incentives with you, which I'm happy to talk about. And you could like send an email to and just chat with a human being. I think that's really important. And if you ask any of our customers like that, they know who I am. They know Tiffany, who runs onboarding and support for us. You talk to her. And I think that that's a really important component. But with all that said, I have an incentive to tell you that. You should just go out and ask other micro schools who are using it. Or maybe they're not using it, and tell them to come talk to us. But you should find imams, or we have a ton of schools in Florida using it. Ask them. I think references will speak for themselves.
And I'm going to shout this out now, because I get nothing from this, but just the joy of understanding that I joined, and Brett and Tiffany listened to what I was saying. Somebody went to the website and looked at something, and even the first bit of information that was delivered to my inbox was like, hey, here's how parents can sign up. Here's how parents can pay. Here's how you can embed it. But girl, if you can't do it, which you can't, call us and we will walk you through. She even sent me a video, which I loved because I watched it several times. It was like, I still can't do it. Let me reach out to this human being. And we all know, if you've lived old enough to call somebody about something, the importance of speaking to a human being. I don't want, and I've even gone to the point where it's like, oh, do you want, put in your phone number to call back to speak to a human? Yes. Call me back at 11:30. I'm gonna answer, because we still need that human being touch. And I think I'm tech savvy, but I'm not. So I feel comfortable with someone showing me a video, walking me through, and just having that calming voice, because you get flustered and frustrated. And then, like you said, starting a business, it's just you guys being able to say, okay, we understand that you're starting a business. We understand what you need. And let's walk you through some things, and having accessible templates that I can already go in and say, oh, thank you. Whew. Okay, let me use this as part of the program and embed this. And then my parents, my students, whomever, the community that's signing up for a program that I'm doing, because it's bigger than education. So when you use a program like this, it's bigger than education. And so who else other than private schools, public schools, who else do you do business with? What other organizations, without giving out all your information, all your trade secrets?
Right.
What other business organizations do you connect with, and do they use?
Yeah, we have nothing to hide here. So the first category is these private schools, alternative schools, home schools. We've mentioned that. We have a ton of public schools using this as well. Then there's this other category, of I'm a nonprofit, I'm a PTA, I'm a PTO, I have a small business and I need to send an invoice. We work with all of them. Generally, if you look at the demographic background of them, they collect anywhere between $5 or $10 grand a year and $2 million a year. If they start collecting more than $2 million a year, they obviously have a successful business, but they probably need something really big, like, I don't know, maybe Salesforce. We're not that. But if you collect that amount and you get pinged with a lot of credit card fees, so for every $100,000 our customers collect, we usually save them on average $2,000 to $4,000 in credit card fees. And so those are the other categories of customers that we help. And it's one of the reasons we are growing very quickly. I did want to mention one more thing. Can I backtrack 2 minutes?
Yes, sir.
So we have these things called templates. And just so people understand that is we talked to a bunch of customers when we started the company, and they would have to go on the internet. So if you start a school from scratch, it's like, I need a parent contract. And you would have to like find one on Google or hire a lawyer and just mesh it all together. And so we have hundreds of free microschool contract or templates. You can click a button, change the content, edit pictures, and just use it, number one. Number two, if you are an alternative school and if you have a Google form for registrations or a physical PDF to do your application enrollment, when you sign up on Omella, we will take that, and within 24 to 48 hours, we will digitize it for you on Omella. There's no fee for it. The reason, the why, and I always go back to the why, is because we need to save you time and money. And if you had a sign up, let's say you collected $1 million a year and you had 10 forms, and if you had to recreate all those forms in Omella, it would suck. Like, it would be a lot of work for you. And we don't want that to happen. We want it to be delightful. We want to be your best friend that you trust, where it's delightful. And so that's just a tactical thing that we do for you.
Save time, save money. I got it. Like that. And that's, look, y'all, those of us who grew up in the Baptist church, we know we're gonna do the pastor's always gonna give us the 2 or 3 things to focus on in the sermon that day. Save time, save money. So when we walk out of church, we know what we need to do, what we need to do.
And Benita, and you wash your hands outside the kitchen.
Outside in the bathroom, down in the hallway. Don't. Now, if you're cooking, you can wash your hands there because you're cooking.
What is the why? Like, where did that, I know we're getting off track, but like, where did that come from? Do you know?
So it's just like taking your shoes off at the door. I don't want you tracking the dirt from outside in my clean kitchen.
Yeah.
But if we're cooking chicken, you know, if we're cooking, you have to stop then and wash your hands, you know, contamination. But I don't want that outside world contamination in my kitchen. My kitchen is the heart.
I get it.
Needed to be clean.
Can I tell you something, Benita? So I met you once before this, like the call like this, we've never met in person. But I feel like if I came to your house, and I wouldn't know that, like I'm from Chicago and I live in Colorado, I didn't know that that was a thing. I know that you would have told me that in a thoughtful, direct way. Yes. And I appreciate that because I would have known it. And that's great. I just wanted to tell you that. I would appreciate that. I know that you would have told me that and I would have learned from it. It's great.
I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. The bathroom's right here for you to watch it. Thank you. Come on in. Okay. Come on. And it's look, I love it because I did not grow up in a house. When we walked in the house, we took our shoes off, but we're in rural Virginia. So it's like the dirt and, you know, just all the things. I'm a barefoot child. So my mom was slippers and my brother and sister. I don't care. It's the house, we're clean. And so I didn't know where I grew up there were no Asians. It was either black or white. So in my travels, I did not know that the Asian culture, definitely you have to take your shoes off at the door. And so when I would start, you know, meeting different friends, I was like, oh, y'all do this too? And they looked at me like, y'all do that? I was like, yeah.
Yeah, we're more similar. Humans are more similar than we think.
And for the same reasons, like we don't want to bring this outside into our house and we have to stop it at the door. So I love just learning about different cultures, especially cultural food. But we'll talk about that on the next podcast.
Love that. That's great.
Food brings everybody together and then we can talk about things. But going into food, I always ask my podcast guests, I was about to say my customers, my podcast guests, this question. So let me go back because I'm a teacher and I'm going to give you some scaffolding. Way back in the day, the concierge at the hotel, you would go to a nice, fancy 5-star hotel and you would check in. Okay, so it's going to be you and your wife, your in-laws have the kids. Okay. And y'all are checking in and you're going to say, I would like to go to this Michelin star restaurant, or we need tickets to this Broadway show, or we want to do this adventure. And the concierge, he or she would go ahead and handle that for you. And then you go upstairs, you take a nap, and they'll call you, and you come back down, and everything's handled. My question to you is, where would you go? What would you do, and why?
Where am I? Am I allowed to ask where I am, or is
you can go anywhere? Money is no object, and we're gonna go back pre-COVID, so we don't even have any type of restrictions. Where would you and your wife go and why? And what if you go on Broadway, what show would you see? If you're doing a restaurant, what restaurant would you go to? If you just want to travel to another country?
Yeah, all right, I have an answer. Now, let me caveat this by saying it would be very hard for me to leave our little son for more than so if I could bring my in-laws with, and then they were just with him in another hotel, okay. I think we would go to Switzerland. We would go to probably a town or an area called Grindelwald, and the reason is because we went to our honeymoon there. And it's beautiful. And what would we do? We would just go walk. Like we would just go walk around and probably eat a lot of cheese and good Swiss food. It's just such a beautiful, clean place, and I love the outdoors. I grew up. My dad would make my brother and I go to like all these shows in Chicago. Like I don't know if you know HMS Pinafore. Like there's all these old operas that he would take us to. Not my thing.
Okay.
But I love being in the outdoors, so that is what I would do.
And I love the fact that because you're one of my first guests is like, okay, so a lot of guests say, I don't know about leaving the kids, but you even were like, but can I bring my in-laws and they just be in the other room over there
Yeah,
with the kids?
I
And
like that.
I love that because actually that happens a lot. We went to Disney. I wasn't able to go. I was overseas, I think, somewhere. But my sister has 3 kids, and then my niece, my brother has 1. And all of them went to Disney, and the grandparents went.
No, it's
But
great. It gives you a lot of freedom. You know, one of the difficult things on the other side I found of being a parent, and I love being a parent, is you do lose a lot of personal time that you have. And if you don't have someone to help support you, I can't go for a bike ride with my wife, or like I can't go, to dinner with her. It's very difficult. And so every now and then it is nice to have some type of supporting infrastructure that you trust and know. I mean, ideally, if it's a grandparent, they will love your kid as much as you,
yes,
your kid, and that part's important.
it is. And I was sitting here, and my sister was like, the grandparents didn't even go to the park. I said, girl, they wasn't coming for the park.
Yeah, that's right. They get kid time. Everyone wins. Everyone wins.
Everyone, they went to Airbnb, so when they came back, the kids' lunch was ready,
Oh,
and dinner's done, and she was. I said, "Girl, they were enjoying themselves. They were drinking their coffee, sitting out in the sun.
yeah.
They didn't care."
No.
And she was like, "Yeah." We would text them, and they were like, "Okay, everything's ready," and the kids, towels are out so they can take a shower. And I was like, what's wrong with that? She was like, I don't know. I said, okay, relax.
Yeah.
And I have to remind my sister, my friends, hey, the grandparents are here. Relax.
Yeah.
They raised you, and they don't even like you anymore.
Yeah, you're totally second. You're second on the totem pole. When my mom comes, she's like, "Oh, I'm so excited to see Ellie. You too." And I'm like, "No problem."
Nobody cares. Thank you. Like nobody cares. Like my sister, my brother, once they had their first kid, they were like, "Oh, you're so and so's dad. We don't even know your name."
Yeah. Where would you go?
Oh, I would go to Africa.
Where?
I would go to Sierra Leone.
Mm.
I'm on a board there. We opened a school there in the middle of COVID.
Wow.
And we're building the second floor now. So we're doing fundraising, and I want to see it in person.
Wow.
And I've only been to Morocco. So that's the only part of Africa I've ever touched. And I would go, and I would probably stay for a couple of months just to help train the teachers and really just be on the ground and see another culture and how they educate. So I've done Spain. I've seen how the education system is there, UAE. And so that would be a completely different continent. Mm-hmm. And to see, because it's different. It's different in American education system.
Yeah. And can I ask one more question? I know that. Okay, I'm curious.
People interview me on my podcast. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can't help it. I'm curious. So, Africa is very far away. You somehow are helping start a school there, but you've never physically been to that school. What was the connection? Like, how did you find that, or did it find you?
It found me. Long story short, my sister's daughter's godmother.
Got it.
Right. So godmother is from Sierra Leone, and her mother had always dreamed of opening a school back in her country and in her community where she grew up. And she became successful in America and was able to put that into fruition. And then I think they started, and then 2 years later, I came on board. When you're building a nonprofit, you need to set your board members up. And I came in, and it's so funny to me because I'm the only educator and I'm the only Black American. Everyone else is African. They were born in Africa, mostly raised in Africa, came to America, so they go back. And then I'm the youngest one of the youngest ones on the board. And so I remember this is how disconnect sometimes it is between Americans and other continents, other countries. They were really excited because the bathrooms were being built. And I was sitting there like, wow. I don't get the excitement. Like, they were excited. They were like, we built 6 bathrooms, 3 for the girls, 3 for the boys. And I was like, and so I had to pause them and say, okay, pause, because I'm not understanding the excitement. And they broke it down to me, and they said, we don't have bathrooms in our school, so you would have to go home.
Whoa. And
then being a female, I'm like, you ain't got no bathroom. So that means for 5 to 7 days, I can't come to school. because you don't have a bathroom in the school, and I'm a female. I'm a middle school age female.
Yeah.
I'm a young lady.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, so the young ladies would miss about a week of school
Oh,
because they don't have the accommodations to accommodate me being a young lady because there's no bathroom.
and they are arguably the most critical people that should be in that school and be getting that education at that time.
Right. So then I understood the excitement of building appropriate bathrooms. And then it's almost like the first time I moved to Spain and they were like, you stupid American. That's how I felt, because I was like, oh, because in America, we're complaining about not enough electrical sockets because now we need more, or there are no mirrors in the bathroom.
Yeah.
When I had to it made me readjust to say, oh, just this gift of someone donating $2,000 so we could build bathrooms and have a flushing toilet and have doors and have it appropriate so that all students could go to the bathroom during school and not have to go home.
Yeah.
And not come back. Because I'm gonna tell you, what middle school and high school students are gonna come back? Not me. I'm going to sleep. Like I'm done for the day.
Yeah. Wow.
And so that's how I got started, and it helped me be more cognizant of me teaching in America.
Yeah.
Which takes us right back around to your company, helping us be more cognizant of what the needs are right now. You opened with something that I thought was inspirational and necessary. We are always behind. And when I hear about technology companies, I hear about companies that are coming forward and saying, hey, we got you. We're going to save you time and money. It is necessary for me to put you on the platform like this because we don't have the time to do it. So we rely on companies like you to say, we got you. Come on in. So then we're going to wrap up here because I'm trying to do better this season, y'all. Y'all know, like hour-long podcast.
No, we're at 32. We're good. Let's wrap.
32. I'm looking at the clock. Okay, so this is how we're going to wrap up. I have two more questions. Question number one is, you are speaking at my conference. I'll bring you in and say, hey, y'all, I need y'all to come here. We're going to do this educational tech and app conference. And I want you to give parents, educators, or people in the audience 3 things that your company is helping us move into. I call it the 22nd century. I don't know if that's right or not, but we're moving into this next century. How is your company helping us, or what do you see moving forward in your company that we should be anticipating?
3. Well, don't want to beat a dead horse by saying this, but it's very transactional. The things that our company does is save you time, save you money. There is a third, which I didn't mention before. And since you asked me 3, there's a third one, which is make you look good. And what I mean by that is, yeah, I get it. What I mean by that is many of our micro schools will charge $3,000, $5,000, up to $15,000 a year. On average, I would say it's around. And when you ask a human being to pay you $8,000 and then you ask them for their credit card and you like scribble it on a piece of paper, which of course is not compliant to do that. Or you say, oh yeah, just Venmo me, Venmo Benita. It doesn't present that I got my stuff together. I am a business. I'm taking money from you. That's safe. And so there's a third component where, OML is branded. There's payment pages. We send digital receipts. It feels like you would walk into a Chase Bank almost and but we're giving you that power. So it's saving time, saving money, and making you look good, which all goes back to helping you focus on leading. And one of the other implications that we've seen from that, and I know we're running out of time, so I'm going to stop soon, is we've been able to help some customers find more customers because they're able to present themselves in this manner, or I should say parents and students, where it's like, I got my stuff together. Like, this looks good. This looks professional. I feel safe giving you $8,000 because they're giving you what is most precious to them in the world, which is more than money, which is their child.
Yes.
Like for a certain amount of time. Like that's kind of the undercurrent of all this. We're this, like, even put OML aside, we're this software thing on the back end that helps educators do what they want by leading their school. But really, at the end of the day, a parent is doing it because they want their kids to be the most successful versions of themselves. And so we're like this really abstracted thing in the back end that helps you hopefully help them do that.
I love it. I remember learning from it in class, and we were all online, and we were all like, oh my God, like this is so great. And then just meeting you and meeting your staff, meeting your, hearing your story, and just getting to understand the why and the how. This is amazing and this is great. And I love it because I'm like, I always have these little thoughts in your head, but like you said, we're busy sometimes doing other things. But luckily you, your family, your brother, the people that are on your board and your company, you come along and say, okay, I think we have an idea here. And also educators love companies that listen to us. And then adjust and change, and then we use it even more. So like we get embedded into that. So like people know, like there are a couple of companies that I'm going to talk about because I've been ride or die with them from the jump. Like I've been teaching for a minute, and when they came on the scene, I jumped on them, and I'll email them and be like, "Oh, no, I'm not going to pay for this. I've been riding. Look at the record. I've been with y'all since 2010. I'm not going to pay for this. I'm not paying for this upgrade, but." If you do this, then I can do this, or I'll write an op-ed, or I'll come in and help, because it's always hard to get sometimes educators on board with new stuff, especially those of us who are like me and we are seasoned.
35 years.
Yeah, 25. Wait.
25. I added it 10, 25. It's a long time now.
Yeah, wait a minute. Wait, add 10 if that's going to help my 401k. Add 10. All right, so this is the last.
Sierra Leone, bye.
Add a 10, or if anybody wants to help me with those student loans. No, because Baden, we out here boxing with you.
Let's go.
So this is what I always do with all of my podcast guests. Let us know where you attended college. If you went to a HBCU, because we accept everyone. Or if you're a member of a Greek fraternity or sorority. And if not, and you're like, I don't even like my college. I didn't go to college. If there's anyone or thing you want to shout out, then you're going to tell us how we can connect with you and your company. And then we're going to close out.
All right, great. I went to Michigan State University.
Yes.
I have a degree in agricultural economics, and I failed economics, excuse me. And obviously I'm doing nothing with agriculture. So there is a way for you. And fun thing, we have tons of sororities and fraternities using Omela. Tons of them all around the country, in the South, in the North, everywhere. And then how to connect with me, email me directly, Brett, BRETT @omella.com, or just sign up on the website. You're going to get an email from me. You will meet with me. Unless you really don't want to, just tell me and I won't take it personally. But that is how you get in contact, Brett@omella.com.
And so y'all, I got this Calendly link and I was like, I'm not signing up. Who is this? This is crazy. But I went to LinkedIn and I was like, oh, wait. Like he literally is the co-founder, but why does he want to meet with me? So I'm like, dude, like I'm texting other people and calling them. Like, no, that's what he does. And I was like, oh, okay, because like scam, like what's going on?
Yeah,
spamming me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I wonder if I should write something in the email like, "This is not spam. I'm a human being. This is really me."
But like it was very. I will say, do it, sign up, and learn about the product. Even if you think you're not ready, go and have a meeting. And see, because he does a great job of showing you how to break it down. And those of you who are like me, who are like, I don't know, like, go and listen and ask questions. If you don't understand something while he's presenting it, ask and Brett will break it down for you. So, Brett, you are part of the Education Concierge podcast family. We call ourselves TEC family. This is how we close out. I am a good old country girl. I went to church, Little Shallow Baptist Church on Otter Dam Road in Emporia, Virginia. Shout out Eagles. Even though I'm a Bulldog from Brunswick, don't ever forget that. But the pastor of the church, when the guest pastor would come, our pastor of the church would open the doors of the church. We don't need to do that because we are not influencing anyone into any type of religious way. But the guest pastor would do the closing. And the closing is any way you want to. We've had guests who give us their inspirational speech. I had someone to sing. Somebody did a rap. Somebody did a poem. And so however you want to close us out in an encouraging way, that's what we asked you to do. When he went into deep.
Well, you know where my head went? That's hard because it's like, well, I could try to do something like philosophical and encouraging and inspirational, or like try to pitch our product, but like, we've kind of talked about everything from the Freudian why to Sierra Leone to what our product is to your history. So I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to tell you is if you go to Switzerland, you should go to I'm going to butcher this, saying it, the Lauterbrunnen Valley, and try, it's like LAUT something Brunnen Valley. It is what I imagine if you were to visually see heaven, like that is what it would look like. It's really beautiful, and I hope everyone one day has a chance to go there. I know it has nothing to do with Omela, but or even education, but it was just an amazing experience, and I think really highly of the people there and the place.
And it didn't have to do any of that. It did exactly what you needed it to do. Thank you, Brett Kopf. I'm not going to do the thing because I don't want to trigger you.
Thank you, Benita. Nice to meet you.
Have a great life. We're going to see you again because I know I'm going to bring you on again. And please tell your family, I always do this, tell your family thank you for allowing us to take some time out of their time with you, for you to come on our podcast. And hey, this is Michelle Obama's network. So we had to be on here.
Got it. That's great. Thank you, Benita.
Thank you.
Bye.